let us get going. Well, it's good to talk to you. So people who don't know, I've heard about this whole program probably last year. Gosh, probably I guess it was in August or September when I had got back from a vacation. I kind of heard about it and I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking. I didn't do it at the time, but once we got to the point where everyone started buying, we started getting back in the market, etc. There was things I wanted to buy that I couldn't. There were coins or different projects that I'd found that I wanted to go try to buy, but I couldn't because I didn't have any access. I couldn't get those coins because I couldn't get on those certain exchanges that I wanted to get on. So I was reminded by someone else about this again. I said, darn it, I forgot about it. So now I'm going to get it. So this is Palau ID. I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but I think it's Palau. You can correct me on that. But Jay's on here. So I wanted to hear a little bit about you and how you got started in this, maybe, and start from there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for
It's
being here.
really uh, great to have this opportunity to talk about the program. Thank you, first of all, as a digital resident, for supporting the program and kind of moving the initiative forward. And your support fuels a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do, because it is new, as you'll see as we continue the discussion, um, and we're trying to fill that need, just like you described, providing really three transformative innovations: the on-chain legal ID, a digital residency. You're by law a digital resident of the Republic of Palau,
So I
and
did say it right.
geography agnostic governance. So those are the three things that we're trying to bring.
Okay, I got you. So I did say Palau right.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So could you talk a little bit about the second two? Because I think a lot of people have questions on what exactly that means. I understand because I already got into it a little bit, but could you just extend the second part a little, the second and the third points there a little bit, and go into a
Yeah,
little bit more
the
detail?
digital residency and geographic, or I'm sorry, geography agnostic governance. Geography agnostic governance, that's just a fancy way of saying no matter where you're at, you're legally considered uh, a digital resident of Palau, and you're allowed to use the digital ID card for your purposes. The same as if you're a U.S. citizen and you have a Mexican driver's license,
Gotcha.
or you're a Mexican citizen and you have a European Union driver's license or identification. So it's kind of that approach to it.
Okay.
It's authorized by a law that was passed in Palau in December of 2021. We were up and running and accepting applications in February of 2022. I came on board and took over the program in June of that same year, and have been running with it ever since. Um, because it's very new, I know there's been a lot of frustration amongst digital residents with the speed of getting a lot of the services online. We've been very cautious in that regard, just because of there's a few major things that happened that reflected poorly on our space, the space that we're operating in, and so it was hard to bring stakeholders on board. Right? It's a legitimate program. There's a law that supports it, and legislation in the Palau government, and then a lot of the ancillary services, because of that geography agnostic governance that we want to provide. It has to go through Palau's legal and government processes to get regulations approved to authorize the government to provide those services to digital residents. So when we, like, the first one, of course, is the physical mailing address.
Okay.
We've been working on that for the better part of a year. The FTX incident did not help because a lot of people hit the brakes and say, "Oh, let's see what's going on here." You know, they're legislators. They're not blockchain specialists, or
Mm-hmm.
they don't own crypto. They don't understand crypto, so they tend to lump everything together.
Right.
We have another initiative. We're working with the stable coin. It's we hit the same roadblocks because of the same issues.
Right.
So it just takes time to, a lot of meetings. We're moving at the speed of government, I always say, to try and get through those roadblocks. They're not really roadblocks. It's just they're senators and delegates, Congress people who want us to come and explain to them. The regulators want us to come to explain to them the safety mechanisms that are in place to prevent things like money laundering and
Mm-hmm.
financing terrorism, things of that nature.
Okay. Cool. Well,
So
I'm
yeah,
obviously, yeah,
so we're just moving
that's great to
forward.
me. So I'm down for all this so far. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, no, great. Yeah, no, I mean, I'll pause there and see if there's any initial
Well,
questions. I'm happy
yeah,
to.
I've got a couple for you. Liz over here in the comments wants to know, I guess, depending on your nationality or where you're a citizen of, does it affect your citizenship per the country? Like, for instance, U.S. or Canada or Mexico. I imagine those are probably the top three places that you guys get.
n- Uh, no, there's no impact as far as we know on your citizenship status in those other countries. It's I mean, you're not being granted citizenship.
Correct.
It's digital residency. So, but in as opposed to other types of residency, you don't have to go and live in Palau and work in Palau with a and then get some type of visa, and then
Right.
after so many years or months staying there, you can apply for residency. It's it's digitally uh, processed. There's no so as opposed to Estonia, their e-residency program, where you apply online, but then you have to go to pick up your packet in
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like that. We don't have any requirements
Okay,
like
cool.
that.
So
Everything's done using the available technology.
to give people an example, for you, for those of you who might have taken college courses out of state. So whenever you move from, let's say, I'm in South Carolina. Say I moved to South Carolina to Kentucky, and I want to become a tax paying person. I have to gain residency and prove that I live there before I'm allowed to do certain things. Right? I can't just show up and then work and not have to go through the proper channels. Right? That doesn't mean I'm
That's
a
correct.
citizen of Kentucky. I'm a citizen of South Carolina, but I have paperwork stating that I'm here now, right? I
Yes.
think that's the determining factor, the difference in what people think between citizenship and residency. I've looked at buying property around the world in different places, and a lot of places are very forthcoming with, "Hey, we're not going to give you citizenship, but if you stay here X number of days, you'll get residency." Right? So there's a
Right.
difference. There's a big difference.
Yes. Yeah. The time requirement is one of the big differences. Um, and the as far as once we get the services online, like so for the mailing, physical mailing address and mail forwarding service, for example, the regulation has already been approved. It's
Perfect.
already signed. We just have to get and the solution design is done. But in order to give you a physical mailing address, we have to tie it to actual something physical, so physical property. And so we have a solution design that involves uh, uh, leasing leasing land. It's not a huge chunk of land that you can go and build a house or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not permitted by the laws or the regulations, but it's big enough that we can associate you to a physical address
Right.
and then provide you with that physical address.
Similar to
Uh,
what, I don't know if you're aware of it, but similar to what Scotland does. They have a program where they sell quote unquote lordship, but it's really just
oh yeah,
a square centimeter on a piece of property,
yes,
right? And
that's exactly it.
you get a lordship by owning a piece of property in this certain space, right? Similar to what you're
Yes,
saying.
that's correct.
All right, cool. One of the questions I sent you, um, do you have a recommendation as far as companies, or do you see a lot of that, or is it more so individuals? I think that's kind of what the person was going to be asking, not just tell me what to do, but more so, what do you see typically so far?
As far as what do you mean by companies, recommended companies?
Do you, I think he's asking commercially, like as far as setting a business up in Palau and stuff. Have you guys worked through a channel to create that yet, or is just so?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's yeah we've so it's funny you bring that up. So we've actually formed a task force to not really go after, but to reach out to there. So there's a lot of these companies popping up on the internet that are not in Palau. They're not associated with Palau, and they're charging a lot of money uh, under the premise that they can help you set up an LLC in Palau or a company in Palau. So there's no LLCs in Palau.
Okay,
None.
that's a good answer. I was curious about myself.
Yeah, it's so we're not really sure. We don't want to just come out and say that they're running scams. They appear to be legitimate entities. They look like they have offices, globally providing different financial services. One of them happens to be, hey, we'll get you set up with a business in Palau.
Right.
Palau's business application process. So I'm Palau, and I have a small business in Palau.
Okay.
It took me about 7 weeks, and I had to use a proxy, provide her with a power of attorney to do all of the legwork because it's all paper. It's a purely paper application process. You can download the application from the government website, but you have to fill it out and send it to someone in Palau. The other thing is I'm Palauan. If you're not Palauan, you have to go through the extra step of a foreign investment board.
Okay.
And the foreign investment board is in person. You have to travel to Palau. You have to schedule the appointment and travel to Palau when that board convenes. Uh, so similar to what the e-residency in Estonia does. Right now, you have to go to Palau to open a business
Okay.
if you're a foreign investor. So these commercial companies that are offering this service, um, that's probably one of the questions you could ask them is how does the foreign investment board process work? And if depending on their answer, you'll be able to get a good sense if they're legit or not.
That's cool.
Otherwise, they're gonna take your money, and you're not gonna get what you paid for.
That's a good question because, or a good response because I was going to mention, last bull run, we run into some of these things. And when we got toward
Mm,
the end of the bull run, we all had the same question: how can we pay as little taxes as possible while still
yeah,
being and doing the right thing, while still paying taxes, but limit it as much as possible? One of the things
right.
everyone wanted to do was, oh, we'll just open up a foreign company. It's really not that easy. We found out, like depending on, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you go to Crete or Greece or Belize, it doesn't matter. Any of these other countries, it was all the same thing. No matter what you do, you're going to have to show up in person to do that. Even
Yeah,
if you go through that secondary channel like you're talking about, it doesn't matter. You still got to go in person and put your pen to paper. That's the only way they allow that, right? Um,
correct.
it that's a that's an important aspect that a lot of people need to keep in mind before they decide they want to do that. I have no problem with people investing their money wherever they want to. It's your money. I really don't care. But please be smart about it. For people who are wondering, I got the ID because I wanted access to some exchanges that I couldn't get access to. Money is money to me, especially internet money. And I shouldn't be allowed to, I shouldn't be told what I can and cannot buy, just like you shouldn't be told what you can and cannot buy. It's your money. Blow it how you want to blow it. Um, I'm not a big nanny kind of person. You guys all know that. But I've had great success with mine. One guy asked over here on the right, he's tried to upload his documents like multiple times, and sometimes it doesn't work right. Do you guys have, I know there's like a help thing on the right. Is that automated? Do you guys have personal help that can get through that when we have pictures with IDs or uploads or anything like that?
Oh no, there's a yeah no, you'll get a live person reply that I think it's support at RNS.id. You send them an email, they'll respond, or you can go to their Discord channel. Saying they have moderators in there who will respond right away, and then provide like if they can't help you in the Discord channel, usually they'll drop to like a separate room to get your information so that they can go and look for your application and see what's wrong. But yeah, no, it's um
You're using
no,
actual people.
yeah, no, it's actual people.
That's
Yeah, they
perfect.
actually have a lot. They have pretty large customer support staff.
Perfect. So
They being Cryptic Labs, our service provider.
I know you probably don't have it on hand right quick, but if you get it, send that information to the Discord over here, and or send their Discord information. That way, I can just give it to them. Say, if you got problems, go over there and ask. That kind of thing. That would be really helpful
Okay.
because I've had multiple people ask me that. I managed to get mine to upload by using the PC and not the phone. It didn't work right when I used my phone, but I used the PC and it went through great. Um, it was it was
Okay.
it was a little bit of a pain for me for whatever reason from the phone. Worked great on the PC, but other people are saying, "Oh, the PC didn't work so good. I used the phone and it worked great." So, I mean, whatever works for you, I don't really care. I didn't think they asked to use the little help icon because most of the time it's automated. So you get a computer saying, "Hi, how can I?" And it's super frustrating. But if you have actually people, that makes it so much better.
Yes. No,
Um,
absolutely.
so one person, let me find. All right. Yeah, one person wants to know, um, while he knows that you save money by doing a farther time rather than a shorter time, what would you recommend? What do you think the best package is? Because there's three available. Which one do you think is the best one?
I mean, like a lot of people want to, test drive it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you do a year, you can like see if it's something that works for you, and then if at the end of that year, get a longer subscription. If it's something that's the program's not going anywhere. I mean, it's authorized by law. There's resources, government resources put against it. I have three people on staff plus myself, and that's all we do is work the political side, pushing the regulations and getting the ancillary services in place, working with the service provider for all of the application processing, and then I have customs and immigration officers who screen the applications and inspect them to make sure that they're, the photos and the video and the government ID all match,
Right.
and then they approve the application and for processing.
That's why the process takes a couple weeks once you actually submit it, because you guys actually do the real legwork and checking to make sure that's a legit ID.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Also, there's an initial inspection. For example, the gentleman that you mentioned, he's having trouble uploading
Mhm.
the stuff. So the system, if the it's just like when you open a bank account online or anything else where you have to provide a photo of something. If it's not clear, then the system will reject it, But then once the system accepts it, then there's a set of eyes at Cryptic Labs that inspects the application. From there, it goes through some sub inspection, and sub has like 300 different international databases
Hmm.
that it takes the information from the application and runs it against those databases.
Okay.
It checks for, if you've ever been investigated, indicted, convicted for money laundering, you've had any connections to financing terrorism, and what's the other one? Money laundering. No, those. There's one more. I can't remember what it is. It's a FATF or a FAFTA thing, or a FATF requirement. But then also the other databases it checks you against. So there are databases for people who they didn't launder money or they didn't finance terrorism, but they were irresponsible in the financial
Gotcha.
services sector, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you worked for Silicon Valley Bank, for example, it
Gotcha.
wasn't your fault, that they over extended into treasury bonds or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
put them, under. But because you're associated with that, you'll pop, and then it's global. So there's all these. I mean, it's a pretty extensive list of databases, and then the other one is a criminal background check. There's like 22 different crimes that are considered pretty serious. Murder, rape, um, human trafficking, drug trafficking, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like felony, probably if it's a felony, then it's probably going to be on there.
Perfect.
I think like DUIs or stuff like that. No.
And essentially, international or violent crime will be picked up.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. 180 days stay per entry. Is that the limit or the minimum?
No. So it's actually 270 days.
Oh, okay.
So Palau is
It
a
said
visa.
180 on the website. That's why I said that.
Yes. So it's 180 past the what's allowed for everyone else.
Gotcha. Okay, okay,
So
okay.
Palau's
I'm sorry.
visa on arrival. When you arrive in Palau, and you will get a visa at the airport
Gotcha.
when you process through immigration. That's good for 30 days.
Perfect.
If you're in Palau, you like it and you want to stay longer, then you can, like, 7 days before that 30-day visa ends, you go to the immigration office, you pay $50, and you extend for another 30 days. And
Perfect.
then you can do another 30 days, total of 90 in that same fashion,
With no extra ID, just as a tourist.
just as a tourist with your
Gotcha.
tourist passport. So when you with a digital resident ID card, you can go another 180 days beyond that.
Gotcha. So that
So
you
if
could.
you're a digital nomad and you spend your summer in Croatia, uh, and then winter's coming, uh, so you want to go somewhere that is English speaking, has the U.S. dollar, has solid internet connection, so you can do your teleworking,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just cool. You're a scuba diver, or you like the ocean stuff. I mean, then Palau, go to Palau, stay there for six months, and wait out the winter, then go back to wherever. And then from Palau, I mean, you can, it's 2 hours from different places in Asia, from South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
Japan, Thailand, Singapore. So it's a good place, a good base of operation to explore, that part of the world. Cost of living is relatively cheap. Um, it's very chill. So if island life is your thing,
Listen,
then
island
it's,
life
it's a
should
good
be
place.
everybody's thing.
I agree. I think so.
After going to Hawaii last summer, listen, I thought I knew what island time was, and then I got to Hawaii and I went, oh, there's an extra island time, which is
Yeah.
real island time, which is meh, whatever, which was great. I loved that. Now it got a little iffy when the military side of the family who was with us was like, well, it says 9:30. Why is it 9:30? I'm like, island time. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
And they showed up at 9:50 and everybody's like, hey, you guys ready to eat? Like, okay. I was happy and loving it. Now, of course, some people don't like that, but you get used to it and you start to realize I should probably just relax and enjoy. That's what I loved about being in Hawaii. And I've already mentioned wanting to go to the area you guys are in already. My grandfather was in World War II. He was right in through that area. I've talked about it before. Marshall Islands,
Right.
getting
Yeah.
over to Saipan, stuff like that. I've never gotten the chance to do that, and I'm hopeful that maybe next year I have the chance to. And I mean, I have a digital Palau ID. I want to go there. I mean, I would like to go look at properties and stuff because, like I said, I'm going to buy. I've told these other guys I'm going to buy something internationally here. At the end of this, that's going to happen. I'd like to know exactly where I want to buy it, and I'd like to go there to see.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of the hotels and dive shops, they'll offer a local rate if you have
Gotcha.
the digital resident ID card as well.
And you're local now, so there you go. That's pretty
Right.
cool. Well, look, I know you got to go at 5. Do you have anything else? If you don't have anything else, or if you don't have anything in particular you wanted to bring up, I think every question I've gotten answered was exactly what I wanted to hear. So this has been really awesome. I don't want to keep you forever. You know what I mean?
No, no, not at all. I don't mind. I'm happy to answer more questions.
Oh, one more.
Um,
Well, a
yeah.
couple people are typing. One more from me. At the it kind of shows right here, hotels.com, Airbnb, travel, blah blah blah. I haven't that was a perk that I looked at and I was like, well, I want to do it for this, but that also comes with it. Is there any could you kind of go into detail on what you save or what you might get with a digital residency ID like this for those particular ones that you guys have highlighted on the website there?
For those, it's usually between a 10 and 20% discount on when you book your travel or book your stay with those participating partners. So I mean, it really depends. I don't know. I don't have a list of each of them, but that's something. Again, if you send an email to the help desk, they'll answer that right away.
So, for you guys who don't understand how much it costs to fly from South Carolina to Hawaii, that was $2,400. So,
Yeah.
if I saved 10% on that 2,400, that pays for the ID for 1 year. Just in the flight alone, I would have saved enough money. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't have that when I went. I had looked into this before I went to Hawaii, and then ended up not getting it done until I got back. But nonetheless, I could have saved the entire cost of a year of ID. So that's the little things that we don't think about that we get. And I was almost forgot to ask about that. I don't have any other questions. I don't know if anybody else does. So one said, does the digital ID expire? I answered that when it's 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, right?
Yes.
Perfect. I mean, I don't have any other thing. If you got anything you want to say, because this has been awesome. I know you said this is your first time doing this. Darn sure don't sound like it.
Oh, okay, great. No, well, let me see. So, a couple things we're working on. I already mentioned the physical mailing address, and we're really close. The issue there. So land in Palau is very important, right? It's what gives Palauans their identity. It's very strongly tied to the culture. So uh, when we when we want to do these leases, there's a lot of uh, people both in the Western style government and the traditional government. There's Palau still has chiefs and indigenous
Mm-hmm.
clans that have to bless off on it. So again, this is new. A lot of it is there's some discovery learning involved because you think you're good and everything's blessed off, and then someone pops up and says, "Wait a minute, I
Right.
didn't get my say." So we're moving forward. As far as physical mailing addresses, we're at the point now where we're just trying to finalize, the mechanics of how it's going to work.
Right.
There are two private companies that are offering the same service, a physical mailing address and mailing services. I can find those for you. I'll send them to you if you
Okay.
can drop them in.
I don't mind that. You gonna send it on Twitter or you want to send it on Discord? Second. Yep, Palau's right across the water from Guam, not far at all. Like I said, you guys, if you didn't know, um, my grandfather was in World War II. He was in the South Pacific, specifically only in the South Pacific. He got there just as things were starting to end. He was a paratrooper, so he dropped in, which was pretty cool. He never really talked about it too much, and I never really got the chance to see and talk about him. He didn't really want to talk to me about it, so I always thought it'd be cool to go around and see where he was. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You've sent it to me where? Or you're gonna send it?
I will send it.
That's fine. That's perfect.
In a little bit.
That's perfect.
I
One thing someone asked, is the renewal process just a matter of paying, or do you have to go through the whole KYC again?
You do have to go through the KYC process again with
Okay.
a new photos and government ID.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know how that worked either. That was a good question. I didn't think about that, but I guess it makes sense to have to re KYC. So.
Yes, we do. We repeat the background check every year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But if you have a 10-year card, that card is good unless you lose it. You can order a replacement. But it's continuous for the 10 years. Except we do the background check, and then if you're popped, then someone will reach out and let you know that you're probably going to lose your, depending on what it is, you'll probably be removed from the program, and the difference and the remainder of your subscription is refunded to you.
Okay, cool. Here's one. Are there banks on Palau that will recognize this ID to allow you to open a bank account locally? Or do you know of any?
No. So there are only there's only one bank right now, and it's an investment bank. It's not they don't have banking services. They recently applied for their deposit license, but I don't know the status of that. The other There's three commercial banks in Palau, but they're U.S. banks. They're
Okay,
not
I got you.
PNC banks. Yeah, so I mean it's and if you're not Palauan, the only way you can open a bank there is if you have a work visa and you're working in Palau,
Okay.
and you have to show all that paperwork when you open your account.
You mentioned the reason that it's hard to get the physical mailing address. And if you guys don't understand, a lot of this stuff is considered indigenous or it's their culture. They don't want the culture erased like happened in other places. All right. So they prefer to keep it in, you could say, the bloodline. All right. They prefer to keep it that way. And that way it's not lost and forgotten. So in order to do that, I'll to show you how Saipan does it. You never own property in Saipan. You lease long term from the family whom owns the land.
Yeah.
All right. And they allow you to lease it for a long term, and they enter a legal agreement saying that you lease it long term. And there's very few stipulations, obviously, but it's not yours. You lease it. It's very difficult to get around that. They do that on purpose so the culture is not lost. And it's important not to lose that culture. Otherwise, it's not any fun to go to these places, and we erase history. I never want to erase history.
Yeah, Palau is the same thing. There's 50 and 99-year leases that you can that are available.
A lot of South
Again,
Pacific islands have done that, correct?
yeah, pretty much. But I mean, it still requires the Foreign Investment Board uh, process. So at some point, you have to go to Palau.
So even if you got everything worked out, yeah, I found a lady who's going to let me lease her land. I'm going to put an office
Yes.
in. It's great. And then you go to the
Yep.
board and they say, nah, we know who you are. No, thank you. But you
Well,
still have to
I
go,
mean,
or you still have to go there and say, hey, here I am. And they say, oh, okay, cool. You're here. Thank you.
yes, yes. There's still that in-person requirement.
Perfect. I actually prefer that. That way there's way less in the form of any shenanigans going on. Because I think some people get mixed up on what this is. And again, it's not citizenship. You're just getting a digital residency, and you have some perks that go with that, but you're not a citizen. That's totally different. Just like if you were to come to the U.S., you're visiting. You get residency. Hey, you pay some bills. Great, but you're not a citizen. It's the same thing everywhere in the world, most likely. Not everywhere, that's wrong, but a lot of places.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if you take advantage of the 270 days you're staying there. Say you have a job that allows you to travel
Right.
and work remotely. You don't have to pay any taxes on your income to pull out.
For that
You're
270 days.
for that 270 days. You
Correct.
pay taxes to whatever country you were in, and then if then depending on the laws and statutes and requirements of that country, you know it depends on your tax status could change because you've been out of the country for 180 days or more. I know that applies in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's just so much to it, and it all goes back to that geography agnostic governance,
Right.
right? It's we're offering this program to all global citizens, and so you can make it work for yourself. It's we're trying to make it as and keep it as versatile in general as possible.
Right. I love that. I think that's great. I hope that more people, realize the benefits here and don't take forever to wait and keep waiting and waiting and waiting. That kills me. The last thing, I keep saying the last thing, I'm sorry, it just pops up. This is why I don't like scripts, because it makes it so much more fun when you don't have a script, you're just talking. One thing people don't know about the US, if you're an American and you make $30 million in crypto and you think you're just going to go park that in some offshore company and then get that money back, that's not how it works, folks. They monitor every dollar that comes in, and every dollar that moves is taxed. All right, that's anti-money laundering rules and stuff like that. Exactly the same stuff Jay's talking about. So one thing Palau advertises here is zero tax imposed for out of Palau income. The U.S. will tax you on what you make in Europe, Asia, South America, Antarctica. It doesn't matter. U.S. says, okay, we get a percentage of that. That's kind of the reason the Boston Tea Party happened. All right. Palau doesn't do that, which is pretty neat.
Right. No,
Um,
that's absolutely true.
I I love that. That's great, because that's more incentive for you to go do it. This is why I say whenever, it's a big political debate, but whenever you tax people to death, they just go elsewhere. They're just going to go elsewhere. They're going to find some other way, right? And this isn't necessarily tax dodging. You're still going to pay some. It's part of the game. But at least here I can make as much as I can first, and then pay. I don't get restricted on making money. It's always the interesting thing to me is to say you can only make so much. Wait, what? What's the point in telling me I can only make so much? Well, then you punish me. So the least amount we can pay, the better, as long as we're paying our fair share. Is kind of the way I look at it. And this opens up another opportunity, which I love.
Absolutely.
Anybody got anything else? Because I know Jay's got to get out here. A hard stop at 5, and it's cool with me too, because I got a baseball game to go to. Because every day we have makeup games here. Don't you love having a ton of kids?
Last two things that I'll plug
Perfect.
before we go is we're also working on the virtual phone number, digital phone number,
Ooh.
which would give you which we would offer a service with a 680 country code. You get a bill every month. If you can tie that bill to your physical mailing address in Palau, so that you're billed that way. But like you would have it set up in your phone. You just program your phone with your 680 country coded phone number. They're they should be done with the testing this month. They being the national telecom.
Mm, okay.
They've never done this type of solution design before, so it's they had to apply some additional software. Plus, they have a lot of stuff going on. With they're doing a full modernization of the mobile core network. And this is going to be part of it to be able to offer this service
Perfect.
digitally. The Palau Post Office is also, so let's say you just want to do the mail forwarding service and not the physical mailing address. They're uh, finalizing the paperwork uh, that you'll get a digital PO box, not a physical mailing address. It's a PO box, but it'll help to satisfy the requirement for the mail forwarding service. And then we're working with the Financial Institutions Commission on the corporate registry. So similar to kind of what British Virgin Islands and the Federated States of Micronesia offered. We're doing the same thing, but we're also trying to apply we're taking note of the lessons learned, right? Like same with like Estonia, British Virgin Islands, all these countries that offered these services, and
Mm-hmm.
then the regulators came in 5 years down the line and started saying you can't do that, you can't do that. So they had to roll back some of the offerings. We're
Mm-hmm.
taking note of those things and working with those regulators to see what is permissible, help them understand what it is we're doing, and how we ensure that we are AML KYC compliant. And so the corporate registry, we're hoping that uh, we can forego the foreign investment board requirement, given that we've already gone through an extensive AML KYC and government screening process to get the digital resident ID card. There's in fact, next week, there's an International Monetary Fund task force that's going to come to Palau and kind of do some training with us and make sure that we're set up
Mm-hmm.
to operate and administer the corporate registry program
Gotcha.
effectively. So it's moving, a lot of stuff moving on all fronts, but physical mailing address, uh, mail forwarding service with a PO box and the virtual phone number. Those are the three things that I'm working on. Uh, Cryptic Labs is very close to a digital signature solution that should be rolled out here very shortly. I think they're in the final phases of beta testing. And then while you're waiting for those, there are two companies right now offering physical mailing addresses in Palau. I will get you that information
Okay.
after this AMA.
No,
So
that's cool with me.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. This has been awesome. This is some of the questions that people had asked. I'd seen all across the net, and I never really got answers to, or a couple words wouldn't have done justice. So I think this is great. This has been spectacular. I got all this recorded for everyone, so you can come back and watch it later if you'd like. I'll also send it to you, Jay, so you'll have it. That way
Awesome.
you can use it to someone else going to want you to do this. So
Yes.
it's only a matter of time. So yeah, this has been super great. Super. Thank you for coming. I'd love to have you on again sometime. If other things come up or you have new news or whatever coming out, let me know. We can jump back on and do this again. No problem at all. I'll always be in touch. All right.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. You
Thank
have
you,
a good
everyone,
one.
for the great questions.
Thank you for being here. You have a good one. I'll see you soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.